Good day, children. As I'm sure you all know, Sam has returned. And what a cracker of a video he has given us. It is the very definition of the edutainment genre, in that it delivers genuinely interesting facts with lashings of spit-out-your-tea humour.
Donkey Kong's fucking serendipitously.
Nobody does it better, to quote the line from the 1977 hit by Carly Simon. Having watched his latest episode several times, I cannot help but marvel at the great master's work, particularly how consistent he has been in retaining the simplicity and purity of his art style, a style that has inspired many to take to YouTube themselves. Which has been a notable phenomenon in its own right. It seems fitting that Sam's latest video should speak of evolutionary divergence, for I've noted myself that each new video I create is less like a Salmonella episode and more authentically Oppenbaum. My channel is slowly coming into its own skin, in other words, and I'm very much okay with that. I hope you are too, dear children. Now, to the topic of today's lesson, ring kissing. No, not that sort, this sort. The centuries-old practice of showing respect and or deference to a person and or the office they hold. Please note that hand-kissing and ring-kissing, while related gestures, are not perfectly identical in what they denote. Hand-kissing exists as a salutation in modern-day Turkey, Somalia, Malaysia, Indonesia, and, although relatively rare in the 21st century, in the Western world at large. Broadly speaking, across all cultures, hand-kissing denotes respect and or affection towards the recipient. However, the gesture can take on quite a variety of hues, depending on who the recipient might be in relation to the initiator of the kiss. Of the greeting, the first caliph of the Prophet Muhammad is believed to have said the following: "The father kisses the child's hand out of goodness. The child kisses the hand of the father out of devotion. The husband kisses his wife's hand out of desire. A Muslim kisses the hand of another Muslim out of faith." Although this commentary says nothing of the origins of the practice. In Europe, by contrast, hand-kissing has an ecclesiastical origin, a papal one, in fact. And this is where we must draw the distinction between hand-kissing and ring-kissing. In a tradition going back at least 750 years, popes have worn an annulus piscatoris, aka the fisherman's ring. If you've ever watched the 2009 film Angels and Demons, you might recall the opening scene in which Obi-Wan Kenobi ceremoniously destroys such a ring, first by chiseling a cross into it, then smashing it with a hammer. The destruction of the ring of the fisherman is a required custom upon the death or resignation of the Pope. The recently deceased Pope Emeritus, rest in eternal peace Benedictus Papa, had his fisherman's ring destroyed mere hours after his resignation in 2013 and reverted to wearing the episcopal ring he wore as cardinal. The then newly elected Pope Francis selected a new design, depicting St. Peter as is traditional. And herein lies the crux of the matter. The fisherman's ring is a signet ring. Not quite in the modern sense of the word, however. These days, any decorative ring with some kind of top or face is called a signet ring. The word signet is derived ultimately from the Latin signum, meaning sign. Synonyms include emblem and proof. This gives us a clear indication of the ancient practical use of the signet ring. It was used to authorize documents and decrees, a proto-signature, if you will. This was done by melting wax and impressing the design thereupon. As you can imagine, dear children, it would have been very difficult to forge such a seal in antiquity. Even though sealing of official documents with wax gave way to the use of ink stamps in the 19th century, one can imagine how difficult it might be to forge a wax seal, even today. Far more difficult than forging a stamp. Thus, the authority of the office, whether that be of a monarch or that of the pontiff, was, and in some cases still is, inextricably linked to the ring. It was sometime in the 14th century that Christian monarchs, in a show of their allegiance to the pontiff and reverence for his authority as the successor to St. Peter, began to kiss the ring, the signum. The gesture of submission trickled down from Rome and spread across Europe over the centuries, all the way through to the 19th. By the 20th century, the practice was largely replaced with a bow and handshake. The chivalrous gesture of a gentleman's kiss on the hand of a lady is a more recent development that has its origins in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and the Spanish courts of the 17th and 18th centuries. Note how this kind of hand-kissing denotes a different kind of respect by comparison to male-to-male ring-kissing. Yes, I know how that sounds. It sounds like arse-kissing. Curiously, my research into the origins of the slang idiomatic expression arse-kissing, that is, the use of flattery or other obsequious behavior in order to gain favor, has not yielded a definitive link to ring-kissing, etymologically speaking. There is far more information on the origins of the expression of defiance, kiss my arse. We have a 14th century German knight, Götz mit der eiseren Hand, to thank for that one. At some point in his long and illustrious career as knight, mercenary and poet, he was invited to surrender by the Swabian League. Götz is reported to have said of the Swabian general, kann mich im Arsche lecken. As for the link between the ancient practice of ring-kissing and the more modern concept of brown-nosing, the Urban Dictionary provides this entry, submitted in 2010. In the medieval period and up until the present, rank was often signified by the wearing of a ring, i.e. popes, kings, dukes, etc. One would kiss a person's ring to show submission to authority. Parodied today by the detail that the anus is referred to as, and one might argue resembles, a ring. In the spirit of the older meaning of the expression, I would sincerely like to doff my hat, bow my head, and figuratively kiss the ring of Salmonella, in recognition of his being the Don. Everybody screamed when I kissed the teacher, and they must have thought they dreamed when I kissed the teacher. They say that it's not cool to kiss the ring, though it's quite the rush to bring one's lips to the jewel. Nearly hypnotized, I dared to close my eyes when I kissed the teacher. Couldn't quite believe his eyes when I kissed the teacher, though he felt beguiled as I held my breath. The world stood still, but then he just smiled. I paid my due respect to the best when I kissed the teacher. One of these days, gonna tell him I dream of him every night. One of these days, I'm gonna show him I care, going to teach him a lesson alright. I was in a trance when I kissed the teacher. Suddenly I took the chance when I kissed the teacher. He inspired me when he was trying to explain pre-industrial surgery, and I just had to say it. Sam, you're a legendary creature. Thank you, Sam. Here's to you, old boy.